Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
And we begin tonight with the sobering new death toll statewide. The number of people killed in recent flooding has reached 134 people across Texas.
In Kerr County, the area hardest hit on July 4th, officials there reporting that 107 deaths have occurred, including 70 adults and 37 children. We also know that at least 97 people are still missing tonight in the wake of those floods. In Kendall County, meanwhile, today we learned that 9 people have been found dead as a result of flooding there. That update posted to the county's Office of Emergency Management Facebook page earlier today. The post also says that no one else is considered missing in Kendall County, but they do expect to continue seeing state and federal crews combing through the debris in the coming days.
Meanwhile, officials in Maverick County say 47 people have been rescued from rising floodwaters around Eagle Pass, Quemado area. We know yesterday a mandatory evacuation order was issued for some parts of the county due to a flood threat. A temporary shelter expected to be set up for those in the county who need it. And as we continue to cover the devastation in the Hill Country, KSAT is committed to remembering the people who tragically lost their lives in the flooding.
Our team has been working to gather as much verified information as we can about these victims. Oftentimes that information is coming from family members. You can scan the QR code you see there on your screen to read more about what we've learned about all of these lives lost. As we look to the future, a lot of people now asking, what can we do to prevent something like this from ever happening again?
As a matter of fact, at the end of the month, the state's Disaster Preparedness and Flooding Committee expected to visit Kerr County to hear from neighbors about their biggest concerns when it comes to flooding in the Hill Country. That's set to happen on July 31st.
And then coming up on Monday, lawmakers will return to the state capitol where they will discuss natural disaster preparation and flood warning systems, among several other topics. Until
then, a big pattern that we're seeing playing out right now in the Hill Country, a heartfelt pattern, people pitching in to help, doing whatever they can to bring some sense of comfort or relief to the flood-ravaged Hill Country.
And that includes help for the people who are helping. John Paul Barajas met a man in Kerrville who's been using equipment from his own landscaping business to cut trees and remove debris.
Although he put himself completely out of business by donating his time and energy and by overworking the tools he uses to put food on the table and pay his bills, Jonathan Moreno says it's a decision he would make again and again.
I take a lot of pride in my tools, and when there was people like, no, be careful with your tools, you're going to rag them out. I'm talking about saving someone's life. Do you think I care about any of that? Like, really, I could have came back with no tools.
And he nearly did. In the process, Moreno ruined multiple pieces of equipment, but most importantly, a chainsaw. He says he simply can't run his business, Ames Lawn Service 830, without. That's when help came in for those helping. A local rapper and community member got wind of his situation and donated brand new gear. He tells me his business here in Kerrville wouldn't be anything without the people who live here. And although his livelihood has been restored because of the new equipment, he is still working for free because he says there is still work that needs to be done. We hope to catch up with him in a bit and bring you more of his story tonight at 10. John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
About an hour north of San Antonio, the Sisterdale Volunteer Fire Department is pushing through one of the worst natural disasters that they have ever dealt with. Those volunteers have been grateful for an outpouring of support from across the country.
Help has come in many different forms from different places. Fire Chief Brian Riley says even with the help, the work is far from over. Every day pushing through physically and emotionally exhausting conditions there.
At this point, we're still compartmentalizing. We're still in work mode, right? So nobody wants to take that wall down, and we're making sure that we have counseling and support avenues for people to be able to, if it's 3 a.m. and it's bothering you, here's some people you can call.
The chief is asking anyone who wants to donate to give to families that have been affected by all of this flooding. A jewelry store chain founded in Kerrville told us they've come to a beautiful realization this week about how many people care for their community.
And in response to the devastating floods, James Avery announcing 100% of the proceeds from their popular Texas charm will go to recovery efforts.
As Courtney Friedman reports, they still couldn't believe what happened next.
You can find James Avery stores all over the nation, but it started and is still headquartered in Kerrville.
Started in 1954, and we just celebrated our 70 years last year.
The July 4th flood spared the physical buildings, but employees' hearts were shattered by the loss.
We shut down for a few days just to kind of get a grip of what was happening or what did happen.
When they reopened Monday, the company announced 100% of the proceeds from its Deep in the Heart of Texas charm would go to flood recovery efforts. James Avery store manager Sandy Rocha said within hours it was sold out, and it's still on back order.
Very emotional.
You have it right there on your neck.
I do, yes, I do. It means a lot to me. I actually had it on my bracelet, so I took it off and I put it on because it's a different meaning for me now.
Closer to your heart.
Closer to my heart, absolutely, yes.
This is a section of the store where they sell their very popular charms. This is the Texas section. Up here, the Deep in the Heart of Texas charm clearly sold out, but also recently the Kerrville charm sold out as well.
I can tell you the artisans right now are working very hard to get those orders filled for our guests.
You can still order the charm through August 4th, and 100% of the proceeds will still go to flood recovery. Rocha said guests are beyond understanding that it may take 6 to 8 weeks to receive the charms.
Every charm has a different story, but for this, I feel like the entire community is going to feel they know what this Deep in the Heart of Texas charm means.
It'll now be the same story.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Story of strength and hope. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
We've been running a KSAT community information phone bank all day. It is wrapping up in the next hour, but not over quite yet. Phone lines are open until 7 p.m. They're available for you to ask any questions that you have about donating.
Yeah, we're talking about the Together for Texas donation drive. And while volunteers are not taking donations directly over the phone, you can use the QR code for that. They can talk to you about the donation drive and ways you can help and what happens with the money.
You see that number to call right there, 210-351-1363. Again, these phone lines are open until 7 p.m. Already, this campaign has raised over $806,000 so far. All of that money will go directly to on-the-ground efforts in flood-affected areas through the Salvation Army.
I want to show you a traffic trouble spot right now. This is Highway 90 at 36th Street, and you can see a few cars actually off to the side there. Looks like maybe 3 vehicles that are involved in this entire thing, but they have 2 lanes that are blocked. So a lot of people are getting off at the exit there, so that's backing up the access road, and Highway 90 itself also very slow going through this area. The San Antonio police are investigating another case in what seems to be an epidemic, road rage leading to physical violence.
They say that is what happened to a teen driver on Highway 90 this morning. He was shot in the face. Katrina Weber shows us how this trend is impacting other drivers as well.
Before the workday had begun, San Antonio police and paramedics were on the case. What they say was the end result of road rage. They were helping a 17-year-old driver shot in the face on Highway 90 just east of Loop 1604. He told them he tried to use his cell phone to record the person who fired at him, also hitting his car.
You see people pull out guns on their windows and they're flashing them.
Crit Kennedy was not involved in that shooting, but sees his share of angry drivers on the road.
I think people are just really stressed out right now. There's a lot of anger out there.
Cutting you off, getting in front of you, acting petty.
Lorenzo Martinez has seen the bad behavior too.
They see red and they just act.
If it seems to you that drivers are being more aggressive these days, you may not be wrong. A recent study does show that the number of road rage cases in San Antonio is headed upward.
The study by UTSA and the Community Alliance for Traffic Safety also shows the overwhelming majority of those aggressive drivers are male.
It's very dangerous on our roads now because there's a lot of criminal behavior manifesting on the roads.
So far this year, we have covered at least 10 other cases of road rage violence, including 3 deadly shootings. Drivers who we talk to say they make it a point to avoid conflict.
Because I like my car. The car damages are expensive.
You just let it go. If they need to pass, let them pass. It's not that big of a deal.
Even the experts say take the high road to avoid someone else's rage. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
A human resources manager at Texas A&M San Antonio is now out of a job after an investigation.
It's determined that she made more than 200 potentially fraudulent purchases on her university credit card over 16 months. Christina Gomez resigned in lieu of termination earlier this year. The university's probe of her spending has now been turned over to its police department.
Internal records obtained by KSAT Investigates accuse Gomez of using a forged signature and a coworker's login credentials to approve her own expense reports.
A large university such as this one here, I'm surprised that they didn't have better checks and balances.
Tonight on the Night Beat, we go inside the school's investigation and where the case goes from here. Tonight at 10.
Threats stemming from misinformation. A Kerr County official talked about it during Commissioner's Court this week. Coming up, we'll explain why he says that's happening.
And we have a few lingering showers out there to get to, along with a look at how much rain has fallen and where over the past 2 weeks. Its impacts on lakes and rivers coming right up.
A Kerr County official says misinformation about funding has led to threats.
It is one of several points that was brought up during a discussion about the devastating flooding. Our team has gone through decades worth of commissioners' meetings to look more closely at that money.
Our Daniela Ibarra shows us what she found.
Hundreds of volunteers have made their way to Kerr County to help those hurting.
In the midst of all this the beauty, I've been getting death threats. Can you imagine? And people cursing us for decisions that we never had a chance to make, and they're just playing a blame game.
Along with Goodwill, Kerr County Commissioner Rich Paces says some are spreading false information. One of the big issues involves money provided by the federal government.
Joe Biden didn't give us $10 million for a flood warning system. No, that's just false information. We did get $10 million in ARPA funds, okay, and we used it for a radio system to help with emergency response.
ARPA, or the American Rescue Plan Act, gave money to state and local governments to help recover from the pandemic. 4 years ago, commissioners approved spending nearly $7 million from that fund to improve the Kerr County Sheriff's Office's radio system. That decision came with debate. Out of 181 Kerr County residents surveyed in 2021, just under half said the money should be sent back.
These funds are a detriment to our freedoms.
If I was sitting on that court, I would not agree to spend this money.
Then Commissioner Letts tried to reason with them.
Some of what you're saying I agree with. I agree with the inflation. I agree with I can't stand the current administration. But what we do related to these ARPA funds is irrelevant when it comes to those problems.
No, it's not. We reached out to Commissioner Paces, who declined to talk to us. We also reached out to the commissioners who voted on the ARPA funding. We wanted to know if they had talked about using that money to pay for a flood siren, but we haven't heard back. Daniela Ibarra, KSAT 12 News.
All right, SA Picks is back this year. This is a KSAT contest where you can nominate top businesses from restaurants to dog groomers, plumbing and air conditioning services, and a whole lot more.
Yeah, your favorites. Nominations are officially open. They're going to run until August 1st. That's the nomination process. We'll announce the finalists for each category on August 19th. Finalist voting will open August 20th. And end September 12th.
You can vote for each category once a day, then we'll announce the winners in late September. We have a full list of those categories that you'll be able to vote on, available now on KSAT.com. Just search for SA Picks.
And I'm going to admit, the last time we did this, and I saw someplace that had a SA
Sign,
Pick,
yeah.
Sticker on it, I was like, ooh, that must be a good place.
It's been a while since we've done this.
It has been a while. All right, live look outside right now, and there's some clouds out there, but still some afternoon showers in certain areas.
Yeah, a few afternoon showers that are really fizzling out right now, but I want to talk about the impacts of the rain. We obviously know the tragic flooding and higher water in some areas, but this is up in the lower Colorado River and the Buchanan Dam. The floodgates were opened for the first time since May of 2019. This is one of their Instagram posts pointing out that they do sound sirens, and then they go to the worker, the engineer, pressing the button and opening up. Now, they previously had a couple of the floodgates open at that dam. Now it's down to one today, but first time since May of 2019 since that's happened. So you look at the rainfall over the past 2 weeks, and this is an estimate used from Doppler radars and computer models, but a pretty good estimate. And you look across the state, and actually this color table is different than what you're used to seeing, so it's a little confusing, but it's the best we can do in this situation. This purple area, that indicates the most significant rainfall and the highest amounts of rain. Of course, that's up along the San Saba River, lower Colorado River, and others as well. San Gabriel farther to the north, and of course, the Frio, the Guadalupe, and the Nueces. And you look at these rainfall estimates, western Kerr County, about 16 inches of rain. Just outside of Burnett, 22 inches of rain over the past couple of weeks, and upwards of 12 inches around Lakey. That's along the Frio River. And then even near Quemado, about 8 to 10 inches of rain, and that's really just in the past couple of days. Then you get to Hondo and about 1 inch, right? About 1.5 inches in parts of Frio County. Clearly the big difference, as we often see with rainfall around here, the significant contrast from one area to another. And Sarah Spivey put this together earlier today. There's a great article on KSAT.com that was just published. And you look at the recent river floods and their crests. Of course, the Guadalupe at Hunt, 37 feet. That's a record by about 1 foot, an all-time record. The Medina River at Bandera, 17 feet. The last time it was that high was back in 2016. Most of these river crests are the highest that we've seen since the 2010s. And the lake levels or reservoir levels, Canyon at 65%. It was at 46% full. It's up 12.5 feet since July 4th. Travis was down to about 45% full. It's now at 83. It's up almost 33 feet since July 4th. And then Buchanan, right now at 98% full, and they have the floodgates open for the let the water out down into Inks Lake. Okay, so let's go back to the radar and take a look at some of this activity that we have out there. It's isolated in nature, nothing significant right now, and it's all fizzling out and coming to an end. This green polygon here, that indicates the flood warning that's still in effect for the Nueces River. Parts of the Nueces River. Up in Real County into Edwards County, thunderstorms starting to fall apart and dissipate as it heads northward. Nothing significant out there right now, and I'm not anticipating really new development, except for maybe along this outflow boundary. That would be from about Brackettville down toward Eagle Pass over the next couple of hours. Otherwise, it's turning pretty quiet. Just a couple of showers farther to the south, McMullen County, and nothing in and around San Antonio at the moment. What we've had near us has generally dissipated and fizzled out. So still a bit of rain-making energy overhead, but notice the upper level high, the big blue H, it's slowly working its way in and should nose its way in enough to keep us completely dry the next couple of days. Then we have our wild card. That's this upper level disturbance over Florida that's heading westward. The off chance that could turn into our next tropical depression or tropical storm in the northern Gulf. I think odds favor that not developing. We could just get some leftover upper level energy from it on Friday. That's the way it looks right now, to give us a 20% chance of a few showers at that point. Otherwise, our forecast is looking generally dry. 84 Hondo, 80 Utopia, 80 Sabinal. That's where we've had the rain and clouds. Meanwhile, 97 in Stinson, 93 at the airport right now. 86 at 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, we're down to 81. And tomorrow we start the day at 76. And then by the afternoon, we're in the mid-90s again with a lot of sunshine throughout the day. A warm and steamy day with that high humidity. But generally speaking, our 7-day forecast looking dry other than that 20% chance on Friday.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, the Summer Spurs were the cardiac kids last night. What a game.
It was a great game, and Riley Minix hit the game winner for the Spurs in overtime, and he was asked multiple times, what does this mean to you? You're undrafted, you hit the game winner. What does this mean to you? And you know what he always does? He talks about team first. This guy is a perfect San Antonio Spur, and Dak Prescott is excited for training camp to start next week. Coming up.
honestly, we were trying to get either a lob to Carter at first or a shot for Dylan coming off a screen. And I told H before the play, if you don't got anything, I'll be open in the corner. And he hit me, and I put up a shot, and it went in.
It sure did. Riley Minnick stepped up when the Spurs needed him the most in big board sports. Victor Wembanyama was all smiles last night because he's now medically cleared for full contact and because he watched Riley Minnick and the Spurs beat the Utah Jazz 93-91 in overtime, tied at 91 all in OT. Minnick called game with a fadeaway jumper at the buzzer to keep the Spurs undefeated in Las Vegas. Now, this was a fun contest to watch with 8 lead changes and 7 ties. The Spurs' biggest lead was 10, while the Jazz led by as many as 14. And this game was full of runs like many basketball games are, but it was the Spurs who prevailed thanks to the undrafted Minnick, who's in his 2nd season with the Silver and Black.
Last game winner, probably my early years in my NAI. It's been a while, but nah, it's good. It was fun to be a part of that, and just the enjoyment that this team has had throughout this journey. It's been a blessing to be a part of. So to be here in this moment, to be with these guys, enjoying Summer League for the NBA, like I'm just blessed to be a part of each and every step of the way, and I'm just trying to stay in the moment and enjoy it, be with my teammates, go to team dinners, enjoy all the times that we get because not everybody gets a chance to be a part of this. So it's been fun. It's been a great journey, and if you can't tell by our bench and our team's camaraderie and togetherness, like it's huge, and that's what pushed us over the top today.
And the Spurs will next host the Hornets Thursday night at 6. Both teams are 3-0. San Antonio will play a 5th game and possibly a 6th if they advance to the final. 1 week from today, the Dallas Cowboys will kick off 2025 training camp with their first practice in Oxnard, California. And it's the boys' first training camp under head coach Brian Schottenheimer. And this will mark the 19th season that the club has spent all or a portion of its camp at the Oxnard location. Last week, starting quarterback Dak Prescott held his free football camp in South Lake, Texas. That was a great day for him because he enjoys working with the kids, and it means that Cowboys training camp is near.
I just said that the other day, as this is kind of my signal of like, yeah, football's close, and as you can almost say, you smell training camp. I've always done this, right, a week or 2 before camp, and so it's just good for me to get out here and get this rejuvenation of the youth and understand, like, when I was their age, my dreams, my thoughts, how fun the game is and why I fell in love with the game is a lot of things happen, business happens, and you can forget about it, right? And it's great just to be back doing these camps, doing this camp at this time, and just centers me in such a great spot that I'm just thankful and grateful for every opportunity I get to step on a football field and better myself and my teammates.
All right, the Cowboys team charter arrives in Oxnard on Sunday, July 20th, and KSAT 12 Sports will be there with reports starting Sunday at 5:30 p.m.
Can't wait.
Camp.
Right around the corner.
It is here.
All right, thanks, Larry. Stay with us. Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones will join us next on the news at 6.
Our KSAT Q&A is up after the break. In today's KSAT Q&A, we are joined by Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones, joining us via Zoom for our conversation today. Mayor, we appreciate you being here and taking the time. I want to start with the efforts to help out the Hill Country. We know help is coming from all over the state, the country in some cases. We've talked to you a little bit last week about what San Antonio resources look like. How is that continuing right now? What efforts, what resources is the city sending to the Hill Country?
Yeah, well, good to be with y'all. As I said before, that we were going to be with Kirk County as long as we needed to be, and that continues to be the case. We still have a contingent of about 25 folks that are up there that are now helping largely with recovery efforts. I think you all, those watching the news know that this is going to be a long effort, given how much damage was done and how much debris. But again, we'll be there for as long as we need to be. Again, we're there at the request of the governor, and this is what we need to do to help our neighbors, and we'll continue to do that.
I know one of the last times we talked, we brought up the Washington, D.C. trip, and you talked about just how important that trip was. Before we get into some of the nitty-gritty, your main takeaways from that visit?
Yeah, look, the main takeaways were one, decisions hadn't been made, but the best way that we can help ourselves is to be proactive and to be very specific. I think, having been on the other side of this, as specific as we can be in our asks and as united as our delegation can be in what we are and how we understand this is going to impact our community and what we want moving forward, which is why I took the time I was very thankful that both Senator Cruz and Senator Cornyn made time for our introductory meeting, but I also used that opportunity to lay out our very specific asks, given how the Army is moving forward. I think anybody that has worked in national security is not super surprised, unfortunately, by the steps that the Army is taking when you look at what they need to do, both what they're doing in the Europe theater, but what they may need to do in the Indo-Pacific, right? As we're all kind of positioning for that in the national security space. And so as they look to take those efficiencies that impact the missions that we host at Fort Sam Houston, U.S. Army North and U.S. Army South in particular. And I'll be honest with you, U.S. Army South is personal for me. When I separated from the Air Force, U.S. Army South and the 470th MI Brigade there at Fort Sam, that's actually where I worked. So I know how important that mission is, and I know we can't, take our eye off the ball when it comes to supporting missions in Latin America. But I think as the Army is taking steps to ensure that we are ready to win our nation's wars, again, San Antonio is going to be there every step of the way. What I did do, though, in each of those meetings, and I did this as well in a meeting that Representative Cuellar was kind enough to host with the Army leaders, they're actually kind of leading the operational planning to execute that task by Secretary Hegseth. I provided a very specific list of Army missions that Joint Base San Antonio would be well positioned to absorb based on, one, what we are already hosting largely in the defense health space. But we've also got some subordinate commands at Joint Base San Antonio that if you wanted to co-locate some of the entities that are related to the work that they're doing, some of their major commands, I'll just say, we are ripe to do that. We've got the space, we've got the talent, and certainly, a lot of the places where those missions are currently being hosted, San Antonio is heads and shoulders above when it comes to quality of life. So I think there was a strong appreciation for, what we mean when we say Military City USA, both what we can do now, what we can do in the future. What I also walked away with, though, is that, how we support the Army during this time, that's the 50-meter target. But we as a community really need to make sure that we are thinking about what the civil defense ecosystem looks like. What does that look like in terms of manufacturing? What does that look like in terms of higher education? So that's not just the defense missions, but that's also the defense industrial base contributions that we can be making. So that list of missions that I described, I have sent a letter to all members of our federal delegation saying, look, these are the things I shared. Would really appreciate your help amplifying this as you speak both with the Secretary of Defense and with the Secretary of the Army. And in the next couple of weeks, I look forward to working with our local partners to determine what are the next steps we can be taking to ensure that we remain Military City USA, not just 10 years from now, but 25 years from now.
Yeah, and maybe those that aren't familiar, we're talking specifically a big bulk of this on Fort Sam Houston and the fact that they want to relocate U.S. Army North and U.S. Army South to someplace other than San Antonio. Did you get an idea? You told me that you met with Senators Cornyn and Cruz. Did you get an idea that this is a bipartisan effort to make sure San Antonio keeps the command?
Yeah, this is a San Antonio effort, right? I mean, this is, I very much appreciated their time, their staff's time, and that's why we turned that letter around very quickly. Hey, these are, the 6-7 things that we think y'all should be thinking about. If the focus is on operational efficiencies and synergies, well, a lot of what is going to go to Austin would be well supported by the infrastructure and what we can do here in San Antonio. So I think, there's an advantage, not only what we do locally, but also our proximity to what that major command is going to be doing in Austin. And again, certainly the quality of life for our service members and their families is unmatched in San Antonio. So those are things that we need to continue to lean into as we also think about the next generation of supporting these missions, both on the defense side, but also on the civilian side.
I want to pivot to Project Marvel here. It's a topic that still has so many questions yet to be answered. We've, gotten further into some of these community listening sessions where people in various districts across the city can come out and ask their questions, raise their concerns about this. Have you heard more that makes you either more in favor or, less confident in this project? And when are we going to, is there a timeline that you know of when we're going to get some answers on the funding mechanisms for this?
Well, look, I think, and I appreciate, let me just say, I appreciate those in our community, our neighbors that have taken the time to show up to these very important engagements and to hear, but more importantly, to provide their feedback on what they like, what they don't like, and to your point, what they'd like to know more of. So, the City Council, we have until the 18th of August to determine if we're going to decide if we're going to call a vote for later this fall. So that's 34 days. That's 34 days. We are still working through a term sheet. We are still working through community benefits agreement. So there's still a lot of outstanding questions. To your point, time is running out, at least on that kind of immediate marker. So we are certainly waiting for some more information on the financial side that'll help us determine what is the best way to move forward for San Antonio.
Have you met with Spurs officials?
I have. Yes, I have, certainly have, as has the city staff, and we've had several of those meetings.
Are you confident that you're going to get some answers to those questions that you have in these next 34 days?
I am confident that we are going to work as hard as possible to make sure that San Antonio gets a good deal, and that requires having the information to do that. This is a generational investment, so you better believe that we're taking this very seriously and making sure that we have all of our questions answered to make sure that this return on investment is the best that it can possibly be.
We also have another big deadline coming for the city to set its budget, its spending priorities, how it's going to lay out taxpayer dollars. That usually comes up August, September timeframe, but we know the city is going into that process with a big deficit to address. Any clearer picture of what is going to be cut from the budget in order to meet that issue?
No, look, at this point, we are still, we're going to meet here shortly and have some various budget sessions to really take a deep dive into where we can take where we may need to make some changes. I have also been very clear, though, with the staff about this is also the era of show me the money. Right. There's also some areas where we can recoup some additional funds, I think. We are structurally imbalanced. And I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of the reporting at this point has been about the budget gap in 27, which is about 140 million. But if you look at that 5-year outcast, the budget gap in 2030 is 220 million. So as I am taking steps and asking questions, I'll be honest with you, I am keeping in mind the structural balance that we need to have over the longer term, not just the next 24 months, right? Frankly, this is what we would have done at the Pentagon, which is, how are we really setting ourselves up? You've got to do it at a longer time frame. But you've also got to look at not just kind of where do you have some changes in terms of cuts potentially, but also where can we help ourselves? And I've asked the staff to look at a couple of revenue streams, and they're looking at that. And hopefully we've got some good news here to share shortly.
Well, era of show me the money. I like that Jerry Maguire quote. I'm seeing Tom Cruise. Right. I'm seeing Tom Cruise scream into a telephone right now. Mayor, thank you for your time. Always appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take care.
All right, you as well. Still ahead here on the news at 6. As the days go by, we're getting a clearer picture at all the damage found in the aftermath of the deadly floods that we have seen. Coming up after the break, we're hearing from TxDOT about what they are seeing along the roads in Kerrville. You've seen the homes and the riverbanks destroyed by the hill country flooding, but so many roads were damaged or washed away too.
Our team spoke with TxDOT officials in Kerrville at the Lemos Street Bridge to get a good idea of the magnitude of the damage they're dealing with here.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here, those of you familiar with a lot of our bridge approaches or our culverts, you'll see what we call metal beam guard fence that kind of ties into that concrete rail. It's there to protect that blunt end of the bridge or low water crossing from impact. And so typically these are designed to take an impact and kind of absorb the force. But what you can see here, this is more kind of looks exactly what it would typically look like, that W frame. Well, what happened here on both of these, this one in particular, that looks more like a towel that got wrung. One end was basically fixed. When the water started to kind of go through the low water crossing, it basically just, the force of the water twisted it over and over until you got what you see here, which in the 20 years that I've been here at KSAT, I haven't seen that happen before. I've never seen this. So this is kind of new for us to see how powerful the water is at some of these low water crossings, but this is just a good indicator of what you saw out there. We've done assessments of all our roads in the area, and so we do have other damage to a lot of our guardrail, and we're in the process of getting contractors to go out there and fix that. So maybe not to this extent, but we do see a lot of our guardrail, damaged and things that we got to fix, signs, pavement, things like that.
Fascinating.
Yeah, to see how it twisted that metal again and again. Yeah.
Much of that cleanup process you saw there also involved removing large pieces of concrete, stripped and displaced overpasses.
Now, TxDOT says their main priority is repaving the roads for first responders and residents, but like all of this recovery, they say it is going to take some time.
Let's take a live look outside with live cam right now. Showers kind of dissipating in the area.
We still got some clouds out there, though. Adam Caskey is going to give us an update on the rain in our area and what's to come in the days ahead after the break.
A little bit of shower activity coming to an end out there. We'll start up in the hill country, and that's where Edwards County and just south of Junction, we have a few lingering downpours, and even around Fredericksburg. This action is pretty quickly coming to an end now. It's not going to have much of a life cycle left over. And then some heavier rain just outside of Crystal City. You can see the lightning and hear the thunder from Crystal City. This is probably got another 30 to 45 minutes left of its lifespan on it as well. We'll go to the last hour, and you see this action moving from Carrizo Springs going northward and actually weakening a little bit as it does so. Closer to San Antonio, not a lot to speak of. Some just south of town, but nothing that's, I think, going to make it here into Bexar County. Atascosa County, a few lingering showers that can maybe briefly hit Somerset, but the more notable rain, which is down east of Cotulla, and basically between I-35 and I-37, this activity probably only has another 30 to 60 minutes of life left in it. Otherwise, going forward in terms of our forecast, it's going to become very quiet over the next couple of hours. The rain basically coming to an end by sunset, and especially a little bit thereafter. Then tomorrow, we start the day at 76, 90 at noon, 96 in the afternoon. So similar temperatures, a little bit of cloud cover early, but a very sunny day overall. And basically we go into Thursday and it's the exact same thing. A little bit of a change as we get into Friday, and that's because of this wild card we have off to the east of us. So first of all, upper level high starting to nose its way in and should bring us some dry conditions the next couple of days. And then we're watching this upper disturbance near Florida moving into the northern Gulf. Slight chance that could become a tropical depression or tropical storm. But if it stays unorganized, which is what we're expecting, it could throw some energy our way that would then make it here by about Friday, just giving us a slight chance of showers. Right now, looking like it's about a 20% chance of rain as we get into Friday. So nothing significant in terms of the rainfall chances. But of course, that wild card, we'll keep an eye on it and keep you updated. Check back for the latest.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
We'll be right back.
Just a few minutes away from 7 o'clock, that is when we kick off our streaming show, KSAT Sports Now.
Yep, Larry Ramirez joined us live in the newsroom. Larry, Riley Minix is a guy who kind of made a name for himself last year in the Summer League.
He certainly did, and unfortunately, though, he suffered a season-ending shoulder injury last season, so we really didn't get to see what he could do. But last night and so far in Las Vegas, Riley Minix is showing out. He hit a game winner in overtime last night to help the Spurs beat the Summer League Utah Jazz. We'll have reacts from Minix coming up. And you know what? It's a big weekend for San Antonio boxing. Jesse Bam Rodriguez will be fighting up at the Star in Frisco. And at the same time on Saturday, Mario Barrios will be taking on the Pac-Man in Las Vegas. We're going to hear from both guys, Mario, tomorrow, but we're going to focus on 210 Bam tonight as he puts his title belt on the line. Sports producer Daniel Villanueva, a.k.a. Cash V, talked to 210 Bam for about 12 minutes. He asked him a lot of good stuff. That is coming up at 7 o'clock on KSAT Sports. Now, we'll be right back after the break.
Before we go here, quick look at traffic out there right now. 281 at 410. Happy to report no backup. Things moving along just fine. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you on the night meet at 10.